Okay. Good morning. No, good afternoon. Monday. Started well. You're fresh from a weekend in Kerry. Tell us about Cremon first of all.
Yeah, sure. Look, it's a place I go just to, my in-laws have a house in Killorglin, so we were there. Hit some balls yesterday on the beach, my favourite place to go. So I've watched the tides. Tides are out. I'll go out and hit some shots, put it all on camera, and just try and bring it to practice. So it's a place where I much prefer hitting balls on a beach. People have seen now from my socials than a practice ground, because obviously there's that just little bit of peace there. It's good for the mind, and you can just work on what you need to work on. So it's a great place.
It's funny being in Garrettstown, and we'll change from the white beaches of Ireland to Quinta, Lago in a second, but being in Garrettstown a few months back, like, people would have a comment every now and again, like passing by with the dog, like, I hope you're picking those up.
Yeah. No, some people just don't get it. Like, it's one we were there. I was there with two of the young lads from Douglas one day, and this guy made a beeline for us, and I knew, I was like, oh, here we go. And your man, no, he probably came from about 500 yards away, marched all the way down, proclaiming, he felt unsafe, and I just said, don't worry, you're in good hands. And he wasn't a golfer. Like, in other words, like I was saying, the lads were hitting like 140 yards the opposite direction, complete opposite. One day I was down there, and there was these guys. Is abseiling? Is the lads flying up in the air? And I was hitting balls again, miles away from him. One fella comes down, drops his sail, and walks all the way down to me, and I was like, oh, here we go again. And then he said to me, he said, Jesus, we're looking at the golf balls coming up there. How high are they? And I said, well, anywhere between, let's say, 70 and 90 feet, just judging from what I remember from TrackMan. And he said, could you hit a few straight at us? Because they had GoPros, and they wanted to see the ball come up. It was the complete opposite. He actually wanted me to hit at him. So he said, we'll be up there. And I was trying to bust 7 irons as high as I could, and they were getting right up to them, and then just because the ball, like, at the top of its peak isn't necessarily going to hurt anybody, especially if they're that high up. So I never got to see the footage, by the way, but it was the total opposite. But yeah, and then some people, I was in Cremon yesterday hitting shots, and 2 lads behind me were just watching, so it's normally fairly kind of understood,
That is savage, but that'll be a Red Bull ad soon, like,
it would have been lovely, because I know 1 or 2 of them, your man was like that. I was probably a bit too close, but they were just at its peak and then kind of coming down.
Class.
Yeah, but he was, I'd say, look cool from where they were sitting.
If they are listening, please
we want that footage.
Please. So the whole point of the episode 12 was to chat about our golf and wellness trip to Quinta Lago, which is now an annual event. Well, happens a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
And hopefully going worldwide at some stage. But I'm interested in hearing the history of the trip, the first one, because I wasn't around then, so I'd love to hear all about it. What gave you the idea? And
I suppose what gave me the idea was, the community we built through the online classes, and I thought it would be a great way to bring people together at a different place. We did one a couple of years ago. That was the first of, we've done 3 so far. So that was brilliant, amazing. It was lovely to meet people that I had seen through online classes back through COVID, and kind of built up a really good rapport with them. And the second one has gotten an awful lot better in terms of what we're putting in, and then the third one's going to be better again. So, that brought some new people to the next one. The majority of the next trip, there was, I'd say, 24 on the first one, there was 32 on the second one, which we did earlier this year, and that brought people from all different countries, people I'd never met, friends of friends, but all the, I suppose, the united interest in getting fitter, moving better, understanding how to train, playing some competitive golf, getting some good tips on their golf in a really, really cool place like Quinta Lago, which is so easy for people to get to. Like, so we had flights from Cork, Dublin, we had a couple from the States coming, we had a few from the UK, so that kind of made up the last trip. And now for the next trip, it's some new people coming again. Like, I had an email from a woman during the week inquiring, love to go, I'm coming on my own, is that common? And I said, extremely common, and like, everything gets bound together quite quickly. Like, we saw the first night there of the previous trip, everyone just kind of meshed together. There's a welcome night on the first night, and then I do an itinerary, so people know where to go for, their their classes, and what organically came out of that then was we were bringing people to the beach in the morning for like a warm up and a swim, and even there just sitting down getting to know people was really nice, and I suppose it creates a nice bond then, and people feel that they're part of something, which is the whole reason behind it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a huge part of it. The individuals. I would have said that most people were kind of there on their own. And one of their concerns would have been just that, but also the quality of golf they were concerned about. Like perhaps low handicappers being involved in the round with them and stuff, but that's not the case either, sure.
No, not at all. I think, it's not, I don't think it's quite perceived as an elite, company. I suppose Golf Strong as a company isn't focused solely on the elite player at all. It's far from it. It's actually towards, the everyday golfer, so to speak. And that kind of shines through in the trip as well, where when we're meeting everyone, we're getting their handicaps. Obviously, we know some people, but went as low as plus whatever for the likes of Pat O'Brien and Carl Borneman. But then it goes, the majority of people were mid to high handicappers, just really trying to get better.
You could have named me there if you wanted.
And Billy O'Regan, and there's other names in there. So yeah, like it's you have the competitive guys or the lower handicappers, but it completely worked because we did a team event and a singles event each day that accumulates over the 3 or 4 days we're there. So that'll suit the better players, and then every other player has a shot at winning the title that day, and then they're also part of a team. So it doesn't really matter. Like for whatever level golfer you are, you're going to get the same treatment as you would if you were a low or high. It doesn't matter. So and I think the main focus of that particular trip, and we always market it, it's not a beer trip, it's a wellness trip, and it really is, because there's an itinerary of wellness activities and workshops and mobility classes, group warm-ups, and like the thing I really liked about the last trip is that everybody made every class. We had a full complement for every class, which was amazing, and then people just blend there, and then they go off and have their breakfast, have their chat, and then we go off and play golf for the day. So it's the ideal trip. Yeah,
it's heaven on earth. And the Magnolia Hotel is set up for it, obviously, with the area where we train, to the food as well. I think that's underrated, the food side of things, that the buffet and everything on offer there was just, it just elevated the trip even higher.
It did. Like if you were to probably go in and sit down with, we know Mark there, the GM, if we were to sit down with him and probably come up with a breakfast offering after a mobility class leading into a busy day playing golf, it's exactly what you'd want, and they're amazing there. So that's why it suits us. It suits us because the courses are close, the airport's close, Quinta shopping and Quinta Village down the road are so close. So everybody, again, it's not a trip where we're going, right, we're going here, we're going there. There's a free evening, go off and do what you want. But like what normally happens is people kind of get together anyway. Yeah. We send out the results of the day, who's playing with who the following day, and it's all kept moving along very nicely. So I think we have it down to a fine art now, even though we're improving it again. Keith Egan coming along, Darren Prince, myself, yourself, that's the team. And Darren's a physio. He's going to be there to be on hand for anyone who needs him, which they will. And we'll build around that. We're going to do more stuff in the gym. We'll have earlier tea times this time round, which will give us more time during the day. So we're learning all the time. But we're nearly sold out now for the second one this year, and we'll be planning for the one in March pretty soon. Yeah.
One other area which was mesmerising for me last year was on the range, and for the attendees getting to work with you and actually have something to work on the course and taking away with them into their off season or wherever else. So I think that was kind of we didn't really, that wasn't something spoken about before we went, but it's where I think a lot of the magic lay then once we got there.
Yeah, so I suppose like my role or our role, we do the class, people have their breakfast, we're ahead of everyone the whole time, so we're down on the range, organising the range, checking everybody in, and then when people get to the range, I want them to have something that they can, an experience. They're not just hitting balls, whether it's just shooting the breeze, but we're chatting about, this hole is, course management on this hole, or show me a shot that you struggle with, if we can help in any way, even demonstrating or hitting shots. And we did a speed workshop one day, and it was just great crack because I managed to get 200 ball speed, which was a target for myself. So it was lovely. It probably spurred me on to have people there watching me try and do it. So that was really cool for me and for everyone, hopefully. But like just creating that type of fun element before people play, because some people are nervous about what the day is going to lay ahead. And you know, if someone can take something away from the trip, from the physical element or the aspect of the trip, even the nutrition, like we were getting questions around breakfast, what's good to eat, and we were just trying to help as best we could. Even to the golf side of it, sure, everybody is going to get something, definitely, that they can bring away from the trip, you know?
Yeah, and there's unbelievable facilities, as mentioned, but the gym in particular, I was actually surprised how underused that was. So we're definitely going to put that to good use this time around and provide people with off-season programs, and we'll test out their mobility limitations and where they may be lacking, so that they'll have something again off the course to work on as they kind of prolong their golfing journey going forward, like, you know, so that's going to be special for them as well, right?
Yeah, no, it's again, like going back to the facility of the hotel, it's why we obviously select there, but the facilities for everything that we do is ideal, and you know, it's again, we have the app, we have the classes, a lot of people are familiar with what we do anyway, so it just gives them something. We want someone to come away from our trips going, look, yeah, amazing, the golf is great, but I have this, we've identified this as an issue where I can actually perform better going forward, and then work on it going away from the trip, you know.
To finish, and it'll be nice in October as well to get that last bit of sand and sea. The beach club every morning was another great addition. Like.
That came out of nowhere, that came out of nowhere. We were sitting at the bar the first night. Normally the dates we pick for the March trip are around the Players' Championship, so it's nice to be able to watch the golf and just, you know, people kind of flow in and flow out. And beach swims came up, so we obviously had a van rented, like, so we said, sure, we'll go down, and I put it into the group chat, and sure, there was 13 people showed up at something like 6:45 to go down and jump in the sea, which was unbelievable, by the way. And it's just nice that everyone comes back out and they're sitting down getting to know each other, and then that just became the norm. So again, into the group chat, who's up for it. But it was nice. It was a nice addition just to see, first of all, how many people would be into that, and then they come back, get straight into their mobility class, and then go off and have their breakfast and get ready for the day. So it's ideal.
And so there's a very limited number of spaces remaining. We're going to five more places. So if anyone does want to get in touch, find out a little bit more, we can send you on the brochure, which will have everything there in black and white for you. But I can promise you this, you definitely won't regret coming, and you'll actually make buddies for life as well. Like, you know?
It is, and it shows the group chats are still going, like, you know what I mean? People are still in touch. The guy from Wexford, the guy from Dublin came together, played golf recently on that trip, and are still coming back. So yeah, it is a place where people are really meeting people, they're coming along on their own. Some people are coming with friends. We have a few people now bringing people on this one. But yeah, look, this podcast wasn't necessarily aimed at a marketing exercise, but it's turned into one. But like, I suppose it really is, it's something we've worked super hard on, and it's you know, it's a trip that people are really benefiting from, and they're making friends going forward. That's sure. We're proud of it. We're proud of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very last question for me. What's your number one memory from last year?
On the trips?
The last trip, yeah.
I think the beach was really something special. It came out of nothing. Yeah, it came out of absolutely nothing. We had one or two dinner nights there that were good crack. Again, they weren't out of hand, but it's nice that I put in the itinerary. It's a free evening.
Yeah.
And then everyone still comes together. Big table with 24 people or 24 seats. Now people go off and do their own thing, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's it. The people and how people just kind of, I suppose when you try and come together and create a trip, you're always worried about how people are going to bond and if people are going to get on. There was, and look, let's call a spade a spade. There's always one in every group, but there was none. There was actually none. Everyone got on great. And still stay in touch, and there's just great friendships been made. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Brilliant. Well, no doubt we'll have a post-trip podcast as well, and we might even get a guest on from the trip itself. So thanks for listening, guys, and we will be back with episode
13.
Yeah, next week.
Cool.